The Tree of Maplewood. Maplewood is a quaint little town, a postcard-perfect image of suburbia frozen in time. Established in 1962, it boasts well-kept homes, manicured lawns, and neighbors who never fail to greet you with a warm smile. It's the kind of place where people come to escape the chaos of the world. That's why I came here, to find peace after losing my grandmother. But peace is an illusion here. Something festers beneath Maplewood's polished facade, and it started revealing itself 5 days ago. Monday, I was on my way to the lake, my tackle box swinging at my side, the crisp autumn wind whipping through the trees. That's when I noticed it, a gnarled old maple standing alone near the trail. Its bark bore a peculiar marking, like a jagged spiral burned deep into the wood. At its base was a small pile of gray dust. As I stared, a man approached. He worked at the local bar, his face weathered and his eyes carrying secrets. "You're wondering about the tree, aren't you?" he asked. I nodded. "Yeah, what's with the marking? And the dust?" He glanced at the tree with an odd reverence. "When someone dies, we scatter a bit of their ashes here. Not all, just enough to connect them to it. The tree, it's theirs now. And the marking?" His expression darkened. "No one knows, it's always been there." He bid me a curt goodbye and walked away. But as I continued to the lake, I couldn't shake the image of that tree. I cast my line into the water, but found my gaze drifting back to the solitary maple. That's when I saw them. 3 figures in the distance, clad in crimson robes. They knelt before the tree, pressing their hands to the bark. As they did, the tree began to ooze a thick crimson sap. Tuesday, I confronted the barman that evening. "Who were those people at the tree?" I demanded. He hesitated. "Church folk," he muttered. "What church?" "Not the kind you're thinking of," he said, his voice low. They wear red. Nuns, I think, but different." I pressed further. "How many people's ashes are at that tree?" His eyes met mine, filled with something that could only be described as fear. 152. I felt a chill creep up my spine. That night there was a knock at my door. When I answered, it was the women in red robes. Their faces were pale, their smiles too wide. "Good evening," one of them said. "We'd like to invite you to the Christmas feast at the church. Tuesday, 6 p.m. They handed me a card and left without another word. I didn't sleep that night. Wednesday. The day passed in a haze. I drove to the church at the appointed time, more out of morbid curiosity than anything else. The church was small, its windows dark, its steeple casting an imposing shadow. Inside, there were only about 20 people, and most of them filed through a door labeled Baptistry. I followed. When it was my turn, they handed me a small, white pill. "Swallow this," one of the nuns ordered. I hesitated but did as I was told. The world spun and went black. I woke to find myself bound to a stretcher, being carried toward the tree. The main nun walked beside me, cradling a shotgun. They set me down before the side of the tree with the spiral marking. The others gathered around, their crimson robes glowing in the flickering light of torches. They began chanting in a language I couldn't understand. The tree groaned, its bark splitting and twisting as though it were alive. Its branches stretched downward, groping toward me. The main nun raised her arms. "Great One, we offer this soul to you." I thrashed against the duct tape binding me and managed to break free. I bolted into the woods, their shouts echoing behind me. The nun with the shotgun fired, the blast tearing through the air as I ran. I didn't stop until I reached my house. Thursday, I didn't think, I acted. Grabbing a gas can from the garage, I poured it all over the house. I stuffed what few belongings I could into my car and stood outside with a lighter. The nuns arrived moments later, kicking down my door. As they entered, I lit the gasoline. The house went up in flames, a roaring inferno consuming everything. The nuns screamed, but I didn't look back. I got in my car and drove. Tears blurred my vision, but I kept driving. Maplewood is behind me now, but I can't escape the feeling that it's not over. That tree, it's still there, and it always will be. The people of Maplewood worship it as something holy, but I know the truth. It's not a symbol of peace or reverence. It's a hungry God, and the town, those nuns, they're its devoted servants. Sometimes in the dead of night, I hear whispers outside my window, and I wonder if the tree's servants are still hunting me, waiting to finish what they started.